The Christmas table glowed with candlelight, my mother's silver gleaming like a promise. But promises break. My father, Robert, carved the roast with precision, his eyes cold, calculating. Then, he slammed his fist down. The wine glasses shook, and my heart stopped. "Save your sister, Emily, or get out," he roared. My mother, Susan, stared at her plate, silent, complicit. Lily, my sister, didn't even look up, lost in her own chaos. I'd spent years fixing their messes, but that night, something snapped. I stood, my chair scraping like a wound torn open. No words, no tears, just a decision. I grabbed my coat and walked into the snowy Tacoma night, leaving behind the family I'd carried for too long. That wasn't just a dinner, it was the end of me being their savior. But what they didn't know, I was done playing their game. This is the story of how I fought back, how I reclaimed my life from those who tried to break me. Stick around, you won't believe what happened next. I'm Emily Davis, 28, a bank analyst in Seattle, but to my family, I was always the fixer. We lived in Tacoma, Washington, in a neat suburban home with a manicured lawn, but beneath the surface, our family was a house of cards. My father, Robert, a retired engineer, ran our lives like a machine, every decision his, every word final. My mother, Susan, a homemaker, wielded silence like a weapon, her tearful glances heavier than any lecture. Then there was Lily, my 24-year-old sister, a whirlwind of addiction and broken promises, her chaos the heartbeat of our home. Growing up, I was the good daughter, praised for my grades, for balancing the family checkbook at 15, for never causing trouble. But that praise was a leash. "You're so responsible, Emily," they'd say, while Lily, the fragile one, got endless second chances. I'd stay up late finishing her homework, cleaning her messes, while she partied with friends. Robert would beam when I fixed his spreadsheets, but never asked about my dreams. I wanted to paint, to create art, but that was foolish when the family needed me. Susan's words still sting, "Lily's not like you, Emily. She needs more help." Like I was built to carry their burdens, my own needs invisible. By high school, I was managing mom's bills, driving Lily home from late-night benders, and lying awake wondering why my strength felt like a curse. They called me their rock, but rocks erode under constant pressure. Lily's overdoses, her debts, her tearful apologies, those were the family's priority, not me. I remember finding her passed out in our garage, 16 and reeking of vodka, and Robert's only words were, "Handle it, Emily." I did. I always did. But each time, a piece of me chipped away. I believed love meant sacrifice, that being strong meant never breaking. I was their safety net, not their daughter, tethered to their crises while my own life faded into the background. That Christmas night, when I walked out, wasn't just about Robert's ultimatum. It was about a lifetime of being their anchor, of giving until I was hollow. I didn't see it then, but leaving was my first rebellion, my first step toward a life that wasn't defined by their needs. I thought walking away was the end, but it was just the beginning of a fight I never expected. Stay with me, this story takes a turn you won't see coming. For years, I was the one who held my family together, the one who answered every desperate call. When Lily overdosed in a rundown motel outside Seattle, I got the call. I left a client meeting, drove through rush hour, and found her pale, trembling, barely conscious. I held a trash bag for her to vomit into, waited hours in urgent care, and paid the bill without a second thought. That was me, Emily, the fixer, always there to clean up Lily's messes. When she maxed out her fourth credit card, racking up thousands in casino debts, I built her a color-coded debt repayment plan, laminated it, convinced myself she just needed structure. I believed in her, even when she didn't. When she begged me to co-sign her apartment lease because her credit was a little dinged, I lied to my bank, vouched for her, said she was reliable. Reliable. The word still burns. My parents, Robert and Susan, called me smart, strong, their rock, but those words were never praise, they were chains. "Lily's not built like you," Susan would say, her voice soft but heavy with expectation. "She needs more support." Like I was born with extra strength, like my resilience was theirs to borrow. Every time Lily spiraled, they turned to me, not her therapists, not her sponsors, not the police. Me. I was 22, barely out of college, when I found her passed out in a gas station parking lot, her coat gone, her lips blue. I wrapped her in my jacket, drove her home, made her soup, stayed up all night to make sure she didn't seize. 2 days later, she unfriended me on social media. No fight, no warning, just a cold explanation, I don't want judgment in my feed. That cut deeper than anything. I'd given her everything, my time, my money, my sleep, and she erased me like a bad photo. But I didn't stop. Not then. When Lily stole $800 from our joint savings account to fund a gambling binge, leaving me scrambling to cover rent, I forgave her. She cried, promised to change, and I believed her again. I rebuilt her budget, negotiated with her creditors, even worked overtime to replace the money she took. Robert and Susan never blinked. They'd pat my shoulder, say, "You're so good to her," but never asked how I was holding up. Their silence told me my role: keep giving, keep fixing, keep quiet. I started having panic attacks, waking up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing, but I hid them. Strong girls don't break, right? Wrong. The breaking point came quietly, not with a scream but a realization. I was 26, staring at my bank account, drained from another emergency loan to Lily. I'd missed a promotion because I was too busy bailing her out. My art supplies gathered dust in a closet, my dreams buried under her chaos. I saw it then: I wasn't their daughter, I was their ATM, their cleanup crew, a line item in Lily's cycle of help, use, reset, repeat. I started saying no. Not out of anger, but exhaustion. No to late-night pickups, no to Venmo requests, no to Susan's guilt-laced voicemails. The first time I refused, Lily screamed, called me selfish. Robert left a message: "You're letting your sister die." Susan cried, said I was tearing the family apart. But I wasn't. I was saving myself. I didn't know then that saying no would cost me everything: my family, my home, my peace. That Christmas, when Robert slammed his fist and gave me that ultimatum, it wasn't a surprise. It was the final act of a script I'd been playing for years. What came next wasn't just a fight, it was a war. Keep listening, you'll want to hear how this unfolds. That Christmas dinner was supposed to be perfect, a rare moment of peace in our fractured family. The table sparkled with Susan's heirloom silver, cranberries glowing under candlelight, the roast steaming as Robert carved with his usual precision. But perfection is a lie, and I should have known better. I sat across from Lily, her eyes glued to her phone, avoiding me like always. Susan fussed with napkins, her nervous energy filling the room. Robert, though, was a ticking bomb. Halfway through the meal, he set down his knife, wiped his hands, and slammed his fist on the table. The wine glasses rattled, the dog barked from the kitchen, and my stomach dropped. "You either save your sister, Emily, or you get the hell out of this house," he roared, his voice like thunder. "Save Lily." Again. After years of bailing her out, paying her debts, dragging her from the edge, that was his demand. Susan didn't look up, her hands trembling, tears spilling onto her plate. "You're breaking my heart, Emily," she sobbed, her voice cracking. "You're abandoning your sister, your own blood." Lily just sat there, head bowed, not a word, not a glance, like I was invisible. I'd spent my life carrying them: Lily's relapses, Susan's guilt, Robert's expectations, and in that moment, I saw it clearly: they didn't see me as family. I was their tool, their fallback, nothing more. My heart pounded, but my mind was calm, sharper than it had ever been. I didn't scream, didn't cry. I stood, my chair scraping the hardwood like a blade cutting through years of obligation. I folded my napkin, set it down, and looked at them one last time: the father who'd once taught me to ride a bike, the mother who'd braided my hair for prom, the sister I'd held through countless nights of withdrawal. They weren't my family anymore. They were my burden. I grabbed my coat and walked to the door, the silence heavier than any argument. As I stepped into the Tacoma snow, Susan's voice chased me, shrill and desperate, "You're no daughter of mine." Her words stung, but they didn't stop me. I got in my car, the engine humming to life, and drove into the night, tears blurring the streetlights, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge looming like a gateway to freedom. I wasn't just leaving a dinner, I was leaving a role I'd played too long, the fixer, the savior, the one who never said no. Each mile I drove felt like shedding a weight I'd carried since childhood. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't go back. For the first time, I chose myself, and it felt like breathing after years underwater. But choosing myself came with a cost. Robert's anger didn't fade, Susan's tears didn't dry. They'd make me pay for walking away, for daring to break their script. That night, as I drove through the snow, I thought I'd left the worst behind. I was wrong. The real battle was coming, and it would test everything I had. Stay with me, you need to hear what they did next. Walking away from that Christmas dinner felt like shedding chains, but freedom came with a price. I blocked Lily's number first, then Susan's, then Robert's, each tap on my phone closing a door I'd left open too long. The silence was deafening at first, years of their chaos, Lily's late-night texts begging for cash, Robert's demands to manage his investments, Susan's tear-soaked voicemails, replaced by nothing. I'd built my life around being their lifeline, and now I was adrift, wondering who I was without their weight. 3 days later, my boss at the bank called me into her office, her face tight with concern. "Your father's been calling the front desk," she said. "He says you've abandoned your family, that you owe your sister." My ears rang, shame burning my cheeks. Robert's voice had followed me to work, accusing me of betrayal. I apologized, promised it wouldn't happen again, but inside, I was crumbling. That night, I blocked their landline and every backup number they had. This wasn't just a boundary, it was survival. But they weren't done. A month later, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but a sinking feeling pulled me in. A nurse's voice, calm but urgent, "You're Lily Davis's emergency contact. She's at Harborview, stable, found unconscious in a parking lot." My heart clenched, not from love, but from reflex. I went to the hospital, not as the fixer, but because I'm not heartless. Lily lay there, bruised, one eye swollen, bandages on her knuckles. Susan sat beside her, clutching a tissue, whispering, "Thank God you're here." I didn't respond. Robert stormed in, his face red, eyes locked on me. "This is what happens when family falls apart," he bellowed, pointing at Lily's bed. I looked at him, through him, and said, "No, this is what happens when you enable someone until they break everyone else." His mouth opened, but I turned and left, his words fading behind me. 2 days later, an envelope slid through my mail slot, my name typed in stark capitals. Court papers. My family was suing me, claiming I had a moral duty to support Lily financially. The audacity hit like a slap. I didn't open the envelope right away. I sat on my hallway floor, staring at it, the weight of years pressing down. Then I called David Miller, a lawyer known for family disputes. I handed him everything, screenshots of Lily's Venmo requests, bank statements drained by her emergencies, emails from Susan begging me to just cover it, Robert's voicemail to my workplace calling me a traitor. David nodded, flipping through my evidence. "This isn't just defense," he said. "This is a counterattack." We didn't just move to dismiss their case. We filed a counterclaim, emotional harassment, financial abuse, workplace defamation. My coworkers, including Sarah at reception who'd taken Robert's calls, gave statements. I included my therapist's notes, documenting years of stress, and a financial analysis showing how their demands had gutted my savings. The first hearing came fast. Robert didn't show, too proud or too ashamed. At the second, he arrived late, in a stained shirt, muttering about ungrateful kids. Susan waited outside, never stepping in. Lily was there, hiding behind sunglasses, her new boyfriend at her side, but she never met my eyes. She cried when David presented my evidence, but offered no apology, no regret. The judge was blunt, scanning our files. There's no obligation here, he said. Not legal, not moral. Case dismissed. The gavel fell, and I exhaled, a weight lifting after years of holding my breath. It wasn't triumph, it was relief, like waking from a long nightmare. That night, Robert sent a letter, sealed with his initials, but I didn't open it. I tucked it away, not out of fear, but because I was done letting them in. Their voices couldn't reach me anymore, but this fight wasn't over. What happened next changed everything. Keep listening, you won't believe how this ends. Winning that lawsuit felt like breaking a spell, but real healing came slower. I moved to a small Seattle apartment, a place untouched by my family's chaos. No late-night calls, no guilt trips, just quiet. I bought a soft couch, sat by a window catching morning light, and started learning who I was without their demands. A letter arrived from Robert, sealed with his initials, but I didn't open it. I tucked it into a drawer, not from anger, but peace. I was done letting their words define me. One night, restless, I stumbled on an online thread about toxic families. Stories of others echoed mine, different names, same scars. I poured my truth into a post, the Christmas ultimatum, the hospital, the lawsuit. I shared redacted screenshots, timelines, resources, writing for someone still trapped, believing love means sacrifice. By morning, thousands had upvoted, hundreds commented, some thanking me, one saying my story gave them courage to stop answering midnight calls. That post became my anchor, proof I wasn't alone. A writer DM'd me, wanting to feature my story in an article about family financial abuse. I said yes. It went viral, hitting homepages, sparking conversations. My old landlord texted support, a coworker left a note, "You did the right thing." I joined a support group, meeting others who'd cut ties, their strength fueling mine. I started a journal, scribbling thoughts about freedom, about rebuilding a life that felt like mine. Then came a text from an unknown number. "Lily. I've been sober 6 months," she wrote. "Thank you for walking away. It forced me to stand. I'm sorry." I stared at those words, waiting for the old pull to fix her, to forgive. It didn't come. I wasn't angry or numb, just clear. I typed back, "I'm glad you're healing, but I can't be in your story anymore." I meant it, not from cruelty, but from knowing my peace was worth protecting. She didn't reply, and I didn't need her to. That night, I sat on my balcony, Seattle's lights flickering below, the wind carrying away years of guilt. Robert's voice, once a shadow calling me ungrateful, was gone. Susan's silence no longer haunted me. I'd found a rhythm, quiet dinners with friends, laughter replacing tension. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I still flinched when someone asked for a favor, but I'd pause, breathe, and ask myself, is this mine to carry? If not, I let it go. That was my new strength, not carrying others, but choosing myself. The fight with my family didn't end in court, it ended when I stopped letting them rent space in my head. But there's one last piece to this story, a final moment that sealed my freedom. Stay with me, you'll want to hear how it closes. My journey taught me lessons I wish I'd learned sooner, but they're mine now, hard-won and clear. First, setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Saying no to my family's demands saved my peace, letting me rebuild a life that wasn't tethered to their chaos. I learned to ask, is this mine to carry, and let go when it wasn't. That choice gave me freedom. Second, family isn't a blank check. Love should lift you up, not chain you to someone else's mistakes. I thought I owed them my strength, but real love respects your right to walk away. My family saw me as a tool, not a daughter, and letting go was the truest act of self-respect. Finally, silence can be power. I didn't need to scream or explain myself. By closing the door on their drama, I spoke louder than words ever could. Peace isn't something you earn, it's something you claim. Now, I live for me, not their expectations. My apartment stays quiet, filled with laughter from friends, not tension. I still pause when someone asks for help, but I choose what deserves my energy. If you've ever felt trapped by family, know this: you're not alone, and you're stronger than their guilt. Share your story in the comments below. Let's lift each other up, break the cycles, and build lives that are ours. You've got this.